Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk. Today we have a very special guest with us, Mikko, who's a link therapist working at the charity Barnardos. Welcome, Mikko. It would be great if you can quickly introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about your work and what you do.
Hello，我係 Mikko 啊，我都係嚟自香港嘅。咁我今日咧想同大家講下咧 Barnardo 呢個platform 啦。咁佢哋好好啦，攞咗個 funding 可以幫一啲攞咗 BNO visa 嚟到英國開展佢新生活嘅香港人。咁因為其實咧一啲都唔容易啊，要去一個新嘅地方重新適應，重新展開佢哋新嘅一頁嘅話咧，其實係好大壓力啦，好多未知之數啦。咁所以 Barnardo 呢個 platform 咧其實好好，因為佢哋可以提供一啲意見俾你哋啦，無論喺住屋方面啦，或者你小朋友就學去邊度讀書啊，或者一啲政府嘅資助啊、支援啊各方面嘅資訊咧，你都可以透過 Barnardo 呢個平台咧去攞到嘅。另外咧，其實除咗呢一樣嘢之外啦，一啲實際建議之外啦，譬如呢個 platform 都會提供一啲心理嘅支援服務嘅。因為其實咧，佢哋有一個叫做心理支援平台啦，就會有啲免費嘅 sections， 可以透過電話啦或者視像會議咧，去同你去了解翻你嘅心理狀況啊，會唔會係有一啲不愉快嘅經歷啊，或者會唔會想有一個人去聆聽你嘅困難啊，去幫助你解開一啲心結咧，咁其實呢個 platform 都可以做到嘅。咁所以如果你有需要嘅話，好歡迎你哋聯絡 Barnardos 啦。咁其實佢哋咧都會有唔同嘅服務，希望都可以幫到你哋喺英國展開美好嘅一頁嘅。
Great. And you mentioned that you're from Hong Kong. Like, when did you move to the UK and how are you liking it so far?
All right. Yeah, in recent years, the China government has increased the level of control in Hong Kong. The protests against the extradition bill in 2019 reflects fears about Hong Kong's autonomy and freedom. Like many other Hong Kongers, my husband and I made the difficult decision to leave Hong Kong last year and start a new chapter of life in the UK because we want to enjoy the freedom of speech and we also want to provide a better future for our son.
Yeah, great. So, I mean, as you said as well, you work for Barnardos, that charity, and I would love to know a bit more about, Barnardos Hong Kong British National Overseas Program and what they do and how they're planning to support, Hong Kong people who are moving to the UK.
Yeah, of course. Actually, the UK government started a new policy in January last year. The British National Overseas Status holder, what we usually call BNO holders, they are entitled to apply to reside in the UK for a maximum of 5 years. So they can work, they can live, and the children can study in the UK. And it provides the route for them to apply for British citizenship at the end. So, we're settling in any country is always stressful and full of uncertainties. So especially these families have to leave their family and friends from Hong Kong, and they may not able to go back home again to see their family. So it's quite a lot for them. And obviously, they need advice on a range of issues, such as housing options, accessing education, integration, and resettlement as well. So Barnardos, this service just helping to provide the advice for the Hong Kong people. And this service also provide emotional support and free sessions of psychotherapy as well. So the sessions normally take place remotely via telephone or online, just like you and me now. So I'm so grateful to be one of the therapists providing online therapy service to Hong Kong people. Since I can conduct the sessions in our mother language, we can speak Cantonese. So my clients always find it helpful because we don't have to tackle language or cultural barriers. They could freely express their thoughts and feelings to me without hesitation. And we can work out on the options and how to support them to integrate to the community. So this project aims to provide their mental health and well-being. So improve their mental health and well-being, support them to recover from trauma, and increase their level of resilience. Hopefully, they can integrate into the community and settling in well in the UK.
Great. I mean, that's amazing. Like this program, I think you're right. It's very hard to, especially when you move to a new country, you don't really speak the language really well. It's very important to have someone to talk to that can speak your mother tongue. And people think, oh, moving to a country seems, I guess, fun. Like it's easy, but it's actually not. You have to find a new job, you have to make new friends, and especially those people with no family in this in the UK, for example, it's very hard to just, start immediately. So yeah, I think this program is really good.
Yeah, sometimes I found that there is a discrepancy between their expectation and the reality. When they before moving to the UK, they will have a lot of fantasy. I can say that. But when they come to here, they found the reality is not the same, what they expected, because the cultural norm is different. For example, people in Hong Kong, they might looking for efficiency, but here you know everything. You need to make appointment. You need to wait for a long time. So sometimes they will feel frustrated and cannot cope with the situation they encounter. So it's a bit overwhelming for them sometimes.
And I guess I'm pretty sure, as a therapist with Barnardos, you've come across a lot of, different people seeking different things. Would you say you have met someone who's been, I guess, would be your most difficult case you've worked on, and you felt it was a challenge for you as well?
Yeah, actually a lot of challenges because they have different problems. Some cases they have some issues in Hong Kong already, but they think that the situation might be better. For example, I have a case. The daughter in Hong Kong might be a bit difficult because the subject in Chinese is difficult for some kids because Chinese wording is quite complicated. So she was hoping that coming to the UK, the English is much easier, and she has confidence on that. But the reality is that she needs to adapt to another system. I can say another syllabus. So it's a lot for her to cope with. But literally, the level of confidence becomes decreased because when she finds that's not the place for her, and she feels so embarrassed. Sometimes she couldn't answer the questions or she couldn't make friends, but she didn't expect it takes time for everything. So mom feel frustrated as well because she was thinking that the daughter will be happier when they move to the UK, but that's not the reality. So moms start to have emotional problems. So you can see there is the loop there. So while I have support the daughter, I found that it takes a long time for me to build up the rapport with her, because sounds like there is nobody in her comfort zone she can build up the trust relationship with, and she don't have confidence to talk with people. She is very concerned of how people think of her, afraid of being judged, and so on. So I think the first step is support the daughters to be more comfortable with the situation and to adapt to the education, make friends. And then mom is another part
Yeah.
I have to deal with, because she also have a lot of emotions, and she definitely needs some emotional support, and to make her more comfortable to provide the support to the daughter as well, because this therapy is not a long-term support, just like short-term. So I was hoping that if I can provide enough support for mom, then she can carry on to work with her daughter, and then hopefully they can be thrive and be settling in the UK without my support in the future.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. I think a lot of time we don't really see the difficult part that people go through. We just think, as you said, oh, it'll be easy. We move to a new country, things will be easy. But the reality is not always the case. And I guess, like, obviously we've been talking about, the most difficult cases you've worked on. But what about some really good and memorable cases that you've worked on that you feel like you've accomplished because you've helped those people, like, with their case, and they feel a lot better. They're, they don't feel that it's making their life a lot easier. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I know. Yes, actually, I think, the biggest motivation to work as a social worker or a therapist is when I witness the positive change in the service user. No matter how small it is, I always feel impressed to see them never give up, and it is my privilege to walk alongside them towards their goal. So I feel blessed that some of my clients are like my angel. One of my biggest accomplishments so far as a social worker is linked to a client who has been diagnosed with HIV positive. Do you know HIV positive? And she has suffered from chronic depression for many years as well. During the COVID pandemic, she told me that she felt helpless, because no one can understand her, and no one care about her feelings as well. And her world was empty and meaningless. She shared that her life had come to a deadlock, and she was wanted to stop her HIV treatment and let herself die from AIDS. So I appreciate that she could open up herself and share her feelings and emotions with me. And I could understand her situation, even though I couldn't see her in person during the pandemic, and I made use of the WhatsApp, showing my care to her, and literally I support her to find her interest. And she shared with me that, oh, I used it to like taking picture on my phone. So I encourage her to take a picture, one picture a day, to send it to me and share it with me. So she literally taking picture from her window, because she couldn't go out, and she could and take picture over the window and see on the street, and take picture and share with me. Little by little, she was more able to find a sense of herself, her, how to say that? Literally, she find there's something she could treasure in her life.
Yeah.
And later on, I support her to book the appointment with the clinic. She returned to the clinic and received the treatment again. So everything go back to normal. She was able to connect with her friends and her relatives. And by the end of the intervention, I asked her how did she feel, and how did she think about my support. She's really appreciate my support, because she think that even she couldn't meet with me, but my presence only with the WhatsApp or telephone call, she found it that she was not alone. I was there for her. And I also support her to realize that she's not alone, and she also has friend in her life, and she could reach out to her relatives as well. So, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a firefighter, but sometimes if I can make a change for people and support them to thrive or to find the meaning in their life, it is rewarding. And I can't say anything, but I feel so grateful that I can support people to walk out from their darkness.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I think that's why I have so much respect for, social workers and therapists in general. Yeah, like personally, I've gone to therapy like for multiple times, and I think it's so helpful. And especially it's still, I would say, a bit of a taboo subject in Hong Kong to go to therapy and seek help, I guess. you know like coming from like a Chinese family, we're always like taught to kind of just oh, just stay strong, like you don't need help, you're just not strong enough. You just need to be more tough. And I completely understand where, I guess the older generation, where they're coming from, because they've also been through a lot and they never really had the help and support that they needed. So having to go ask for help is such a big thing. But sometimes we don't realize that, you don't have to be quote unquote crazy to need therapy. Anyone can go to therapy. And sometimes it's just, as you said, your client said, you just need to know that you're not alone and there's someone there to listen to you. And it makes a lot of difference, a lot of change. And, having therapists just listening to like all these like stories, like it's not easy as well. So, yeah.
I think you said quite why the taboo in Hong Kong, they are afraid of seek help because afraid of being judged. I think that's the point. So I'm also concerned people coming over to the UK, if they are not willing to open up themselves to seek help, that's the problem. But if they is willing to find the way out, willing to receive support, we are always here for them, and they are not alone.
Yeah, that's really well said. And I guess like, we've talked about your work with Barnardos as a therapist, and you kind of also briefly mentioned that you're a social worker. Did you always want to be a social worker and therapist, or you used to do something else and you kind of transitioned into this career?
Oh, actually, I had a lot of working experience. I used to be a journalist, and then I used to work in the financial sector. So I think about 10 years ago, I started to volunteer myself with the underprivileged families in Hong Kong. And I think it was then I felt that I could do more. Therefore, I went back to study, and then I attained my master in counseling, and I started my journey to become a counselor. And yes, I am so happy to have acquired some fruitful experience while working with the single parents and children. And then I literally found that I'm not enough. So that's why eventually I wanted to pursue my study in social work, because I want to equip myself to become a professional social worker, and I can provide holistic support to the vulnerable children and families and peoples across communities. That's why my career path keep changing. But I think that's what I really want to do, and I really enjoy my work at the moment.
That's amazing. I think, the fact that you used to work in finance and then you you were a journalist as well, and you kind of transition into being a counselor and social worker. Yeah, that's amazing, because it kind of shows that you don't have to be stuck in one career. Like, sometimes you don't find your true calling until later on in life, and there's nothing wrong with going back to studying as well.
Totally. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, actually, I feel like life is full of ups and downs, right? Because I'm luckier than many people who may not be able to find a solution to their problems. So they may suffer from psychological distress for years and end up having severe mental health issues. And this has a significant impact on their life as well as their family. So I always believe that life inspires life. So I think that I can offer help to vulnerable people to walk out of the darkness. So that's why I keep changing, because I think that life is not only focused on the material things and not only focused on making money, but I can also do something good for people and support them through. Yeah, that's why I keep changing. But I think that yes, we all have to step out from the comfort zone before we could find the true meaning in our life.
Wow, that was amazing. I think, yeah, again, like so much respect. And, it's what you said is, I think really resonates with how I see life as well. It sounds really deep, but, it's true. Like sometimes you need to find your true meaning of life. And, sometimes it means giving back to society and helping others. Yeah, that was amazing. And I guess my final question for you would be, if you would like to give one advice to other people, what would it be?
Oh, yes, that's a good question. I think I want to say, never give up, never stop learning and dreaming, and be brave enough to step out of your comfort zone. That's where you can start to widen your perspectives. Life to me is a journey. No matter whether it's good or bad, you still can enjoy the journey and make each day count. And don't be afraid of making mistake, because we are all human beings and we all make mistakes. I don't mind making mistake as long as I can learn something from my mistakes. I believe that everyone has enormous potential. So to think positively in the future and make things happen. That's my advice.
Perfect. That's really good advice. Thank you so much again for joining me today and just sharing your story and talking more about, Barnardos charity and the program, the Hong Kong BNO program. If anyone want to find out more about, Barnardos and their Hong Kong BNO program, I'll just add it to the description so you can find out more about the great work that they do. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much for having me, and I feel blessed I can share something with you all, and I hope yes, you enjoy the content, and yes, just let me know if anything I can help in the future.